a strange land. Singing from a strange land. Y'all, we are a long way from home.
Yes, we are.
You know, the famous line said by Dorothy to Toto was, "We're not in Kansas no more." I don't know if she said no more, but if she was black, she would have said no more. She probably said, "We're not in Kansas anymore." But y'all know, we ain't in Kansas no more. So we want to look at some things as it relates in the scripture. And I want to look at this from the base of Psalms 137. And we're going to first read through the chapter and then kind of go back and discuss. And again, it's singing from a strange land. When you think of singing, you know, it can represent all manner of emotion. It can represent a happy occasion. It can represent a solemn occasion. It can represent an exciting occasion. It can represent something that's more somber. But it relates a particular type of emotion. Singing, music, in general. This is why we have to be very mindful and careful of how we entertain ourselves, how we are entertained, because the power of what's happening in music, the power that's in it, can translate, and it will translate. So in Psalms 137, Scripture says, and I'm going to start at verse 1, and then we're going to read down. It says, "By the rivers of Babel, there we sat down and we wept as we remembered Zion," or Zion. "We hung our lyres upon the willows in the midst of it. For there our captives asked for the words of a song. And our plunderers," that's those who plunder us,
Right.
"our plunderers, for rejoicing, saying, sing us a song of Zion."
Wow.
Do that dance you do.
Wow.
Sing that song you sing.
Smile.
Run that football you run.
Come on now.
Shoot that hoop.
Yeah.
Sing us a song of Zion. Our plunders. And now this is the key. Look at the type of song that's being requested. How did it just describe them? They're sitting there weeping, and they're being asked to sing words of a song of rejoicing. Of rejoicing. Verse 4 says, "How could we sing the song of Yahweh on foreign soil?" How can we sing the song of Yahweh on foreign soil? Or King James says, in a strange land. In a strange land. Verse 5 says, "If I forget you, O Yerushalayim," this is how they begin to react. "If I forget you, O Yerushalayim," or Jerusalem, "let my right hand forget. Let my tongue cleave to my palate. If I do not remember you, if I do not exalt Yerushalayim above my chief joy. Remember, O Yahweh, against the sons of Edom, the day of Yerushalayim, who said, lay it bare to its foundation. O daughter of Babel, who are to be destroyed. Blessed is he who repays you your deed, what you did to us. Blessed is he who shall take and dash your little ones against the rock. You want to hear a song? I got a song for you. That's what they said. You want to hear a song? I got a song for you. This place where they were was not their home. So you can hear in these verses that their heart longed for their home, one. And two, for those who caused their expulsion by fear, by force, that they be repaid for their deeds. So let's take a look now. We're going to jump over to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 2. And we're going to read from verse 17 down to verse 21. And the thing that I want you to begin to think about is, how do we describe, or how do we define strange? How do we define strange? So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2 and start with me at verse 17. And we're going to go down from 17 to 21. And it reads, "Have you not done this to yourself?" Now we'll pause right there for one quick second. When we were reading the Psalms, part of the feeling that I got from reading that is that they were very much so looking at how this expulsion happened to them at the hands of Edom, at the hands of Babel. Remember how it kind of repeated that a few times. But the word says that if you disobey me, then the land itself will do what? Spew you out. The land itself will spew you out. So now let's read in Jeremiah, because there's something that's helping us to see how these people got kicked out of where they belong. And just a quick little bit of history, so you know Jeremiah is speaking to the people that are in the land before they're taken into Babylonian captivity. So he is warning them, telling them, hey, get it right, get it right, get it right. So now let's read verse 17, and I'll continue from there. Have you not done this to yourself by forsaking Yahweh your Elohim when he led you in the way? And now, why take the way to Mitzrayim, or Egypt, to drink the waters of Shiloh? Or why take the way of Asher, to drink the waters of the river? Your own evil instructs you, and your backslidings reprove you. Know therefore and see that it is evil and bitter that you have forsaken Yahweh your Elohim, and that my fear, whose fear? Right. My fear is not in you, declares the Master Yahweh of hosts. Pause button real quick. Remember that when they were coming out of Egypt, and actually it's where we're reading in Exodus today, that he described, and it was either chapter 17 or 18, where he lets them know, it's 20. It's in chapter 20. When they are speaking, when Yahweh is speaking the commands, he's speaking the commands, and after he gets through the 10 words, as we call them out every week, after he gets through the 10 words, what do the people say? Stop, please stop talking. If you continue to talk, we will die. And what did Moses say? He said, the reason that he has done this is so that his fear would go before you.
There you go. Right.
Now, what does that mean? That means every now and then, all y'all parents, y'all can attest to this, every now and then, what do you have to remind your kids?
And you're scared of me.
There's a reason that when I say do something, you do it, other than the fact that I'm just an outside voice telling you to do something. But there's a healthy fear that if you don't listen, that there is going to be two things: repercussions and consequences. And so what do? You heed this word, right? And so that's why he said, you were there and you were scared. They saw the mountain on fire and trembling and heard a voice. And they feared for their lives. And he said, I've done this day so that my fear go before you. So, the fear to do what? Obey. The fear to obey. And so when we're reading here, and it says in 19, my fear is not in you. My fear is not in you. Man, that is scary. That's a scary place to be in when now he's saying, my fear is not in you. So in other words, you're going to do what you want to do because you don't fear the consequence. Because you don't fear my word. And so what I say doesn't matter as much. So verse 20 says, for of old I have broken your yoke and torn off your chastisements. And you said, I am not serving you. This is how kids who don't fear their parents talk to their parents. I've seen this, y'all seen this. I will never forget walking into the grocery store. And this little boy says, I don't want that, Mom! I think I got a whooping for him saying that, if I remember correctly. Man, so when the child gets to the point where they don't fear the authority, then you can say, I'm not serving you. And then he says, when on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down a whore. Other gods, strange gods, strange practices, strange traditions, transgressions. Verse 21. Yet I had planted you a choice vine, all of it true seed. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of a strange vine? A strange vine. A strange vine. So, question is, what did he plant that was a choice vine? What did he plant that was a choice vine? Let's read Hosea chapter 8. What did he plant that was a choice vine? He's saying we got some strange stuff happening. But he's telling us right here that I had planted you a choice vine, all of it a true seed. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of a strange vine? Degenerate. Hosea chapter 8, 1 through 12. Hosea 8 reads, put a shofar to your mouth, like an eagle against the house of Israel, the house of Yahweh, sorry. Because they have transgressed my covenant, and they have rebelled against my Torah.
Hallelujah.
They have rebelled against my laws. They have rebelled against my Torah. Verse 2. They cry out to me, my El, we Israel know you. This sounds very familiar. Remember when they said, we're not serving you. We're going to go over here under this green hill, under this tree, and do what we want to do with who we want to do with and how we want to do it. That's what we're going to do. But now you come and say, oh, this is unto the Lord. That's what they're saying. Verse 3. Israel has rejected what is good. An enemy pursues him. They have made sovereigns, but not from me. They have made rulers, but I have not known. From their silver and gold, they made idols for themselves, so that they are cut off. Guess what the definition of degenerate is? Cut off. Verse 5. O Shemaron, your calf has been cast off. My wrath has burned against them. How long shall they be incapable of innocence? Wow. For from Israel is even this, a workman made it, and it is not Elohim. For the calf of Shemaron is splinters. Wood splinters. Saying you've made your own gods. Gods of wood, gods of stone, gods of this and that. You've made these things. You know, people today want to act like, oh, well, if I don't have a figurine up, I'm not serving. But guess what? It's a whole lot of other things. I can run down the list of things that serve as that wood and that stone and that metal god. Some of us live in them. Some of us drive them. Verse 7. For they sow the wind and reap the whirlwind. The stalk has no bud. It yields no grain. If it does yield, strangers swallow it up. Israel has been swallowed up.
Yes.
They have now become among the nations as a vessel in which is no pleasure. Man. Y'all, if that ain't our people, I don't know who it describes. Don't nobody value us. Verse 9. For they themselves have gone up to Asher. Here we go. That's a high place where they would make sacrifices unto false gods. They have gone up to Asher. A wild donkey alone by itself is Ephraim. They have hired lovers. Also, although they sold themselves among the nations, this time I shall gather them. Hallelujah for him gathering us.
Hallelujah.
When they have suffered for a while from the burden of a sovereign of rulers. So it's going to be some suffering, y'all. But he's going to gather. Verse 11 says, since Ephraim has made many slaughter places for sin, they have been slaughter places for sinning to him. I have written for him numerous matters of my law, of my Torah, of my right rulings, of my teachings, my statutes. They were regarded as, y'all say it. They were regarded as strange, y'all. Doing what's in the Torah is strange to people who say they serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's like saying somebody looks at you funny for going to the bank to make a deposit. How much sense does it make for somebody to look at you strange for going to the bank to put money in it? Isn't that what it's for? Shouldn't be strange. But the things that Yahweh has written to us to follow, the people who say that they serve this God, look at those things as strange. Strange. So now we've seen where in Jeremiah it says, what, I've written to you these these right here in Hosea, in Hosea, I've written to you these things, numerous matters of my Torah. These matters were regarded as strange. And remember in Jeremiah where it said that I planted for you a choice vine, but you chose, instead of that choice vine, a degenerate plant. Something strange. Something strange. So, some of y'all Marvel fans would get this. I'm not even a true Marvel fan. So if I wasn't doing this teaching, I wouldn't get it. So if everybody who don't get it, I'm with y'all. For the people who did get it, somebody tell me what this is.
Dr. Strange.
So what we have here is Dr. Strange and a normal doctor. Now here's the thing. Who determines what is strange and what is normal? Who determines? Marvel would see nothing wrong with the dude on the left walking into your next physical. They like, that's a kickstart to the next saga. But what would y'all do if that dude walked into the room and you sit there waiting to get your annual physical done? So who determines what's strange and what's normal? Who makes this determination? Who makes it? Problem is, when the wrong person makes the determination, what looks strange becomes normal. And what is actually normal becomes strange. And so let's define strange. Basic Google search will get you this definition, y'all. It's real easy. Unusual or surprising in a way that is unsettling or hard to understand. Press the pause button. What did we read in Hosea 8 and 12 was regarded as strange? The Torah. The Torah is regarded as strange. Keep that in mind. Read this again. The Torah is unusual and surprising in a way that is unsettling or hard to understand. It's unusual. It's odd. It's curious. It's peculiar. Not previously visited, seen, or encountered. The Torah is not previously seen or encountered. The Torah is unfamiliar. It is alien. It's unknown. It's new. I've heard Creflo Dollar straight up said it. It is archaic. Archaic. People who say they have a relationship with the Most High are unfamiliar with what He said His people were to do. That's strange. That's strange. Now let's look at degenerate. Degenerate. Having lost the physical, mental, or moral qualities considered normal. Wow. And desirable. Showing evidence of decline. Debased, degraded, corrupted. This is the plant that was chosen. The degenerate plant. Look at that in yellow. Lacking some property, order, or distinctness of structure previously or usually present. Good gracious. Right now, people's pursuit of relationship with the Most High is religion. Whether it's Christianity, whether it's through Muslim, whether it's through Islam, whether it's through Hinduism, whether it's through Buddhism, whatever it's through, whether it's through Judaism. But when you compare all of these religions to simply the Word, simply what He Himself set up to say, here's the roadmap to me, follow it. I would argue that they're all lacking some property, order, or distinctness of structure previously. What's the previous? That old path? where it's already written, that old path, previously or usually present. And so, if you look at strange, the way it was used in that scripture when we started out in Psalms 137, and it says, how can we sing the song of Yahweh in a strange place or a foreign land, foreign soil? They felt out of place, right? They felt out of place. Now, when we look at that degenerate, the word in Hebrew is sor, which is, you can look at it in Strong's or Brown Driver's Briggs, and it's H5494. And it means to turn off or to be turned off or deteriorated. Now, the word that's used more commonly to represent the meaning there is H5493. And that's used a lot more often. As a matter of fact, H5494 is only used one time there in Psalms 137 and 4. And so that word means sor. It means to turn off or to call back, decline, depart, to lay away, to leave undone, to be passed, plucked away. So if we help people to be honest with themselves, when they say the laws of Moses, that kind of puts up the first shield to say, well, Moses is a man and this is what he said. But let's go to what it is. It's the laws of God. And so if we put that in place and now say, oh, well, this is the plant that he spoke of, that was a true vine, that we exchanged for something that now caused us to be what? Cut off. To be degenerate. To be cut off. To depart. This is why they were in a strange land. They found themselves in a strange land. They wanted to say it's because of Babel. They wanted to say it's because of Edom. But what did it say in Jeremiah? You chose other gods. You chose to follow after the nations. Your choices. That's what got you here. So let's look at Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14, chapter 12. And again, please keep in mind these two definitions that we're working from for degenerate and strange. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12 says, There is a way which seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. So this seems normal, but the truth is, it's strange. From my perspective, y'all, guess what? When Adam, let's keep reading. Isaiah 55, verse 7 through 9. I don't want to jump ahead. Isaiah 55, verse 7 through 9. There's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof is death. Isaiah 55, 7 through 9 says, let the wrong forsake whose way? His way. And the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahweh, who has compassion on him, and to our Elohim, for he pardons much. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, verse 5 through 7. And it reads, for Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it. What's the it?
Oh, yes.
Tree.
The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing what? Both good and evil.
That's right.
Both good and evil. Verse 6 says, and the woman did what? Saw.
Right.
Saw that the tree was good for food. She had already been told that this was a strange plant.
Right.
It will cause you to be degenerate. She had already been told that.
Right.
Adam had already been warned. This is a strange plant which will lead to degeneration. You will be cut off. But she saw it, that it was good for food. So now her perception, his perception, became the definition that they used for what is strange and what is normal. So verse 6 says, and the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave to her husband with her. And he did what?
Yes.
He ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. When this happened, we completely lost our ability to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong, between what is good and what is bad, between what is normal and what is strange. We lost it. Their eyes were open to both. It's all meshing together, y'all. Because things that feel good, things that taste good, things that look good,
Right.
often ain't no good. They often lead to what? Degeneration.
Right.
Being cut off. What is cut off? Death. That's what it often leads to. So when the church gets together and creates doctrine based and founded in what they think is supposed to happen, based on how it makes them feel, and then say proudly and loudly, we are no longer under the law. First of all, you're lying.
Right.
Because you under a law.
Absolutely.
It's just not God's.
Come on.
Because I dare you to find a church that ain't got no bylaws.
That's right. That's right.
They are under a law. It's just not God's.
That's right.
And so this is what happens. So now everything is rooted in this feels good. The move of God was in here today. We're going to do this every Sunday from now on. We lost our judgment. Our perception is blown. It's done. This is how Satan was able to get them off track. He pointed to it and said, you will not surely die. Did he tell you that you would surely die? He knows that once you eat of it, you'll be like him. That's why I started in verse 5. For Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, not you should surely die, but your eyes will be opened. Did he lie? Nope. Was their eyes open? Yep. I'm gonna try to stay real high, y'all, so I need y'all to come up with me, okay? Y'all know what that typically means. Just come on up there with me, all right? There's a point in every person's life that they can never undo what was done.
That's right. Absolutely.
And once it's done,
That's right.
once it's done, there is no turning back.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Wars start. Countries divide. Churches fall. Kingdoms implode over this one experience. And there's not a person that can explain fully, truly, the depth of what happens when that happens. We can't fully explain it. We know the results, but we can't fully explain what happens. And the reason I'm using this example is because it's the best way to describe something that can be extremely wrong or extremely right based on context. I'm married, she married, just not to each other.
Come on now.
Problem. Serious problem. I see my wife over there talking junk. That was just an example. Just an example, okay? I knew I was taking a risk when I used it. Y'all see me duck real quick. But it is hard to then distinguish good from bad. And this is why we can't rely on ourselves to define what is strange and what is normal. And y'all, ain't no way we can rely on the world to tell us what is strange and what is normal. So if your excuse is, well, everybody does, that should be your biggest flashing red light. Now, we adults, we should know better than that. Come on now, we tell our kids. How do you respond to that as a parent? What is the parent 101 if your friends went and jumped off the cliff? Would you do it? We all know that. So let's Let's look at Exodus 19 and 5. Let's look at Exodus 19 and 5. And I want you to understand something out of this and really understand the base of this. Exodus 19 and 5. It says, "And now if you diligently obey my voice," this is Yahweh speaking, "and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine." Treasured possession. You shall be my sagula, my treasured possession. So here's the funny thing about something being strange. There's an element to strangeness that also represents what? It being odd or peculiar. So, since we want to be strange, y'all, are we not a peculiar people? So what should we be okay with? Looking strange to the world or looking strange to our Father? So then I go back to the original question, was how do we sing in this strange land? How do we sing in a strange land, being so far away from home? I'll say it like this. Our strangeness to the world makes us a treasured possession to Him.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So we wear our strangeness
Absolutely.
proudly.
Proud. That's right.
And what is that simply? Being obedient to the Most High. If the Torah is regarded as strange, people should look at us funny. When we say, well, y'all, come on out, we all going to, do X, Y, Z, everybody's off Saturday, so we're going to go to, well, nah, I got to go to service. Go to service? Oh, y'all having an extra service or something this week? No, I observed the Sabbath on the Sabbath. Well, what'd you do that for? What are they really saying? You're strange.
Something wrong with you.
So what I want to get into, and I'm not going to do it this time, what I want to get into next time is looking deeper into how do we sing? What's the song? We see the song that they sung.
Yeah.
But how do we sing? We're in a strange place among strange people who have strange practices. How do we sing? The song of Yahweh. That's the key.
Right.
Not just any song, because what kind of song was they asking for? We want you to sing a joyous song, something that we can get down to, something we can get with. But what was their response? How can we sing? We're in a strange land. Amen.